It's the 2nd of January. I wasn't meant to be back this soon. It's the winter break. Then this happened. You can't hear it. I'm internally screaming. Yes, folks, how is it going? Welcome back to Rebuilding Dortmund, and we kick off today's episode at a weird point because there's no matches going on, but our star man, our top goal scorer, who had a release clause that, I'll be honest, I thought we were going to get away without being triggered this year. Yeah, it's been triggered already. Moukoko, £68 million bid by AC Milan. That's a lot of money. So far this year for us, he has 17 goals in 17 games. And the man who I brought in to be his potential, I want to say replacement, but more kind of alternative, Jinan here, he's not yet scored. Signed for £7.75 million, 6 appearances, 0 points. I know what some people are thinking. Jack, can you just offer Moukoko a new deal? Funnily enough, he would rather go to AC Milan than stay with us. If he was to leave us, here is the list of players that could potentially play at striker for us. Could Gruder make the transition to play as a lone forward? I mean, to be fair, he is not the worst advanced forward in the world. He would probably be my initial reaction, given how Jinan has started his time at the club. Elsewhere, Julian Duranville could play at striker. Do you really want this guy playing at striker? I'm not sure you do. Now, on the one hand, £68 million is some really, really good money. It would leave us with around £80 million to spend on a replacement. But just as a reminder, we have our self-imposed transfer restriction. But having looked through the strikers that I at least have scouted, I am thoroughly underwhelmed. I mean, even sorting by value here, there are options. They're not necessarily good options. There's players like Luca Waldschmidt, who I don't feel like you want near the first team. Kehrer from Club Bruges, 9 finishing. Don't really think he's an improvement on what we've already got. In fact, of all the players on the list, Demirovic is potentially the most appealing. A man who I actually signed for Union Berlin. A man who this year has 6 goals in 16 games in the Bundesliga. He'd be available for £4 to £5 million, but I've already signed a Union Berlin player during this transfer window. One of the few players that's been unhappy at the club is Paul Jekyll, who is our starting centre-back, so naturally when Cologne came in and bid for the 28-year-old £7.5 million, he wanted me to accept it, and having surveyed the market, I decided he was worth selling because I was able to reunite with Bright, Ari and B. We have picked up this guy for just over £10 million from Union Berlin. Very, very good centre-back. A really athletic player, but with some really good ball-playing ability. Compared to Jekyll, I think he's a monumental upgrade. When we compare him with Bamidele, he's perhaps not quite as good when it comes to the defensive aspects of his game, but very, very similar physicals and way better with the ball at his feet. And given the fact he's left-footed, I feel like these two, they could be our centre-back partnership in the Bundesliga. Anyway, the Moukoko bid only just came in, but I felt like it was a moment I had to sit down and hit start record for. Our first games during this episode are against Arminia Bielefeld and Paderborn, who we played at the start of the season, and I already did an episode. So I think we're going to do Saarbrucken today. So today is going to be a really unorthodox episode that's kind of part transfer special, part let's play through. Just when you think of transfer saga, can't get worse. Bayern Munich have made a bid for Moukoko. Yeah, Bayern Munich. You know, that team that we're going to have to displace at the top of German football are trying to sign my best young striker. Also, Stuttgart really want to sign Duranville. They've not offered anywhere near the asking price of 32 million. Reject. I do feel like with Duranville, he's not improved as much as I was hoping he would. I mean, he's 20 years old. He should be a really good young player. He's actually declined overall as a footballer. So there is part of me that thinks if I was to get a bid of £30 million for him, I might be silly not to take it. Whilst he's got a fair amount of assists in the league, we have got plenty of talented wide players, and 30 million for him would be quite nice. In some off-topic news, by the way, Captain Jovic, or Vice-Captain Jovic, captain to be at some point, he's decided he is no longer German and that he wants to represent Bosnia and Herzegovina at international level. Having got 21 caps, yeah, he's had a change of heart. I don't know why I'm making sheep noises. Jovic bid for up to £9 million from Bayern Munich. Reject. It's like they heard me talking about him. The fact that Bayern want him for £10 million convinces me more and more this guy is our long-term goalkeeping solution. He's valued right now at £6 to £9 million, but as a reminder, he's just signed a new deal to 2030, and on top of that, it's got some mental extensions. I hope we never have to sell him. So one we are going to have to sell, though, to Bayern Munich, MOUKOKO. That deal has gone through. I didn't even get that many inbox items regarding it, and now he's just gone. But we have got 68 million. I mean, at least the transfer budget looks healthy now, and the balance looks healthy, but at the same time, I got a lot of goals to replace. Just a little bit of weird news that I might as well mention in a video. Vitali Becker, our left back, 2 caps for the German national team. Yeah, I'm not sure why they've called him up, but they've called him up and he's playing for the German national team. I feel like Gruda deserves a call-up as well in that case. I had a brainwave, but I didn't think we could actually sign him. But Max Dopper, remember him? Deadline day boy? Well, he's quite good, isn't he? The 18-year-old. And I made a bid of £28 million. And apparently he's very interested in talking to us. Now, on the one hand, is he worth £28 million? There is a big fat question mark over it. He's inconsistent, but I feel like if I need goals from somewhere, this is the kind of man we can bring in, potentially build a little bit of the team around. It's a gamble, but we have the money to gamble a little bit. He wants to be a star player. That immediately fills me with dread. How much is he going to want? Oh, okay. That's surprisingly reasonable. I'm going to offer him £10,000 more a week, £40,000, but I want a contract extension after promotion of 3 years. He's going to accept that, potentially a 7.5-year deal signing. We are becoming Chelsea FC. I mean, it's a massive gamble for the money we're paying, but having lost MOUKOKO, this is my way of coping. Raul Koenig here is a player with bags of potential, but when we inherited him from the previous Dortmund managers, he really hadn't developed, and this year he's had a couple of little issues of injury that have kept him out. He's still valued fairly highly for a player who turns 21 next month and looks unlikely to fulfill his potential. So given the fact that Hoffenheim have just bid a not unreasonable sum of money, I am going to entertain this a little bit. I'm going to ask for £7.5 million. They've locked in £7 million. It's a guaranteed, what, 5.5? I'm going to take this, you know, and I know that's going to be unpopular. Of course, this save game that we're doing is starting 3 years into the save game, and on top of that, I started on a summer database update, which meant all the players were a year older. So he lost a year of development, and in the first 3 years of this save game, Raul here just hasn't really improved to the degree he needs to, so I'm just going to secure a little bit of money and run. I did look at a fair few different German striking options, but to be honest, Max Dopper does feel like the most obvious signing. So hopefully he's going to join us and not sign another new deal with Leverkusen. Otherwise, I will feel like he's just using us. Friendship ended with MOUKOKO. Max Dopper is my new best friend now, except 18 years old, can't even play striker yet. Well, I mean, he can, just not naturally. I'm hoping this guy's going to get 17 goals in 17 games for the second half of the season and fill the MOUKOKO hole. Just as I set up his training here, please reassure me in the comments that I've not just wasted a load of money. I feel like people were quite excited by the idea of signing this guy on deadline day. We've got our man, it just took 6 months longer. Also, I will fully admit, £28 million, massive overpay, but it's my way of coping. I mean, it's still a £40 million net profit with MOUKOKO going out. I didn't even realise this. Dopper is now a record transfer for Dortmund. The previous record was Hummels for £26 million. That is kind of mental to think about, isn't it? In modern football in terms, the fact that the Hummels deal in 2019 is still Dortmund's record transfer, considering how crazy transfers have gone in real life over recent years. Okay, I do feel a little bit sad about this one, but Raul is leaving the building. It's £5.5 million guaranteed, potentially more down the line. I know there's a few Dortmund fans who were really hoping he'd develop. He's had so many injury issues to start the year, and I kind of look at him in his current form and think he's never going to be worth this much again. So cash in on him, get a bit more money to add. Well, I was going to say to the transfer kitty. Where the transfer kitty is going to be spent at this point, I don't know. This is what I believe the kids would call suboptimal. Paul Scholl out for 4 to 5 months. Okay, first of 3 games we're going to do today. This one is going to be a more recappy game. Arminia Bielefeld, we should beat convincingly. They're in 8th, we're in 1st. It's Dopper's debut. Also, pro tip, if you're about to play someone in their debut, probably should register them for the actual game. First game of the post-MOUKOKO era, how hard can it be? 20 minutes in to his debut, Arian B steps out from defence, brings the ball forward, gives it to Adriano, he gives it to Dopper. Friendship ended with MOUKOKO. Dopper's my new best friend now. Having got the early goal, I thought we were maybe going to run on to dominate this half. Not really played out that way. 5 minutes left of the half. We are still on the attack, mind you. Mane to the byline. He's going to whip it in. Back post. Bino Gittins volleys it. Hits the post. Goes in. That's 2-0. Okay, we're approaching full time here. 1 minute left of added time. Dopper is going to head it just over. But I think with that, that is going to be game done here. At 2-0 in the first half. Thought it had the potential to turn into a bit of a rout, but to be fair to Bielefeld, they held on in this game. Defensively, they actually looked okay, all things considering, and, well, assuming nothing late happens here, it's going to finish 2-0. Good way to kick off our first game following the winter break. You can see, looking at the league table here, 16 points ahead of Osnabrück. Hopefully we're going to extend that with our next game. It's against Paderborn. They're in 12th. Gladbach have made an offer for Giovanni Reina. It's worth £4 million. What has happened to Reina's value here, by the way? I know I've got him listed as surplus to requirements, but he's actually been playing kind of well for us when he's played. I don't understand the valuation drop by like £10 million, and I don't understand why I'd ever accept that bid. Reject. I mean, just in case it's his squad status, I'm going to make him a squad player yet again, but I don't feel like that impacts value. I mean, if we get promoted, I'm sure his value will shoot up again. He's still got 2.5 years left on his deal, so we don't really need to sell him now anyway. He's unhappy. Of course he's unhappy. Look, mate, the deal's rejected. What's it going to do to keep you here? I promise we can get promoted this season. I mean, mate, we're 16 points in the promotion spots. Do I really need to promise that to him? Don't get this game sometimes. Gullikson is going to be heading out on loan. He is a player who I think could actually hold some resale value, potentially be a useful squad player, but I've just not had a spot for him in the team this year. He's been unhappy about it. We've managed to secure him a loan to Hamburg, where they have assured me he will get regular football in the Bundesliga. So, if nothing else, hopefully it'll help us with potentially selling him on down the line. Okay, game number 2 today is against Paderborn. They are struggling this year compared to where they were expecting to be. Now, you might have been expecting the away day. I'm actually going to experiment with the format a little bit. We've never done a video like this, where I kind of play through the January transfer window and edit it all down. I feel like with this save game coming out at the end of the year, whilst there's a little less interest in the videos, I can experiment with the format. So that's what we're doing right now, in case you haven't realised. What I would say is, if you are watching the video, let me know what you think of how today's going so far, and if you're enjoying it down below. Might influence some future decision making when it comes to the content we do here. For this game against Paderborn, a little bit of rotation. Our next game against Saarbrucken is only in 5 days' time, so might as well make use of the big team that we have. The goal's been coming, we've finally got it. Ball switched over to Becker, the German international left-back, I can say that now. He crossed it in, I thought Dopper was going to get there, but actually, it's hit Kruder on the head. I don't know if he knew what was going on, but he scored another goal. Been a really good, convincing performance thus far in this game. They are yet to have a shot on goal of any kind, even off target. It's been that kind of game, and well, it could go from bad to worse. Kruder, with his second of the game, that finish was sensational. Wasn't planning on showing highlights for any of these goals. I feel like I want to watch that and enjoy that again. That is, I mean, it's really good. Yeah, I mean, I'd come to expect that from him, to be fair. Kruder, unreal. Adriano bags his 7th goal of the season, and having not scored in the first half an hour, we've now scored 3 goals in 7 minutes. I thought he was going to square it. He got greedy. He went on his own. He found the back of the net. I'm not going to complain. If there are any Paderborn fans watching this, I am sorry. You might have been thinking, maybe it'll be better in the second half. No, 7 minutes into it, Adriano's got his second. If there are any Paderborn fans still watching, you got a goal back. It was actually a good finish as well. Plate takes a chest, takes a volley. Keeper doesn't use his arms, because why would you use your hands in goal? It's 4-1. Kruder on for a hat-trick. Free kick, edge of the box, 23 minutes left. All that anticipation, and he hits the crossbar. And with the crossbar still shaking, this game is going to finish 4-1. Dominant display. Took our foot off the gas in the second half a little bit. Kind of shows in the stats. They had a little bit of action, Paderborn. Sadly for them, though, only the 1 goal. As for us, Kruder, man of the match. Adriano, 8.5. Good little team display. Dopper, 6.8. We won't mention it. Not going to draw attention to it. It's fine, Max. He's young. He's 18. He'll come good. Okay, third and final game of the January transfer window. Some new opposition for a live commentary in Saarbrucken. Team predicted to finish bottom. They're actually currently outside the relegation zone, doing really, really well for themselves. That said, we should be beating them. When it comes to team selection, this is the team we're going with. It is a set of young and hungry players who are hopefully going to continue to prove the point that they've been proving all year. that they're good enough to get us back to the Bundesliga. Doppler was not particularly great in the last game, was quiet. Having scored on his debut, I was expecting fireworks every game. Considering he's inconsistent, maybe that was ambitious, although, I mean, he's put the ball in the back of the net there, speaking of the devil, but with 7 minutes played, I have a feeling that this is offside. I'm scared to celebrate it. I want to celebrate it. Can I celebrate it? No. When the header was played here, yeah, just offside. Only 10 minutes left of this half. We've had 16 shots so far in this half, 58% of the ball, but besides Doppler putting the ball in the back of the net and being offside, there's been no highlights, and well, I thought we were going to go through the whole half without seeing any more action. There's 30 seconds left here. Is there to be a late twist? Saarbrucken have done nothing going forward. If I was a betting man, I'd be betting on a chance for us. And while speaking of a chance, Adriano is through, and Adriano scores his 3rd goal in 2 games. Max getting the assist as well is nice to see. Flicks it on Adriano with acres of space in behind. Still had a lot to do with the finish. And on the number 23, he had the finish, he was up to the task, he makes it 1-0. Only 1-0 up, gonna tell the players I'm far from pleased. Get them fired up, get them hungry, more of the same in the second half. Gonna make an early change here. I'm gonna take off Kameri, I'm gonna bring in Giovanni Reina. Bino Gittins has struggled in this game. Duranville on MOUKOKO'S on the left-hand side. Let's get some fresh legs into the team. Couple of players in the final third at least, not up to the task. I'm not gonna blame the defence for low ratings, because, well, to be frank, they've just had no defending to do. Like, if there's no interceptions or tackles to make, it's hard to get a good rating, isn't it? Really. Becker's bringing the ball forward here. Are we going to score before the changes even happen? No. Or are we? Because the highlight has not stopped here. This has been going on ages. We're on the attack again. It's Adriano, and that, I mean, that's a sensational finish. That's a ridiculous finish. When we spent £21 million on Adriano, it felt like a steep fee, but at the moment, he's proving his worth for us. In off the underside of the crossbar, hits the roof of the net on the bounce up. It's a sexy finish. Half an hour left in this game. We've looked very, very good. I'd love to see Adriano get his hat-trick. He's got the ball at the edge of the box, lays it to Becker, back with Nkili, Giovanni Reina, Mane. Lovely build-up play here. Is there to be some end product? There is. Gruder, goal number 10 of the season. Really nice build-up play here from left to right. Nkili at that defensive midfielder position, linking up the play from deep. Mane brought it forward, pulled it across. Gruder, he was never going to miss from there. Becker dancing inside, lays off to Nkili. Reina pulls the trigger, keeper parries it. Gruder reacts, and Gruder puts in the back of the net. It's 4-0. It's getting embarrassing. It was already embarrassing. More embarrassing. You know a game's going well when you rotate into youth centre-back players. Mogala, Bookman coming into the team, playing alongside each other. This game's done. The referee has just given a penalty for a push on the penalty spot. I wasn't anticipating it. It's going to VAR. It's going to be given, and with that, Gruder has a chance to step up and put the ball in the back of the net again. It's his 12th goal of the season. It's his hat-trick for this game here. It's 5-0. We had 41 shots in that game there. That was an awful display from Saarbrücken, perhaps the most one-sided game I've seen all season. Maybe in this match here, they showed why they're predicted to finish bottom of the league. With that result, we pull even further clear of the top. And well, when you look at things now, we've played 3 games today. In many ways, the hardest test of the episode awaits us. We've got deadline day on the 3rd, and there are still players unhappy. At this point, I don't really want to sell anyone, but there are a few players kicking up a stir. You know, Duranville, £30 million bid comes in. Maybe we have to let him go. Florian Flick is a player who I'm perhaps open to selling if the right offer comes in. So, yeah, whilst things could fizzle out into a quiet end to the transfer window, it could go the other way, especially if Gladbach keep bidding on Reina. Reina's transfer value's now gone up to £9 to £10 million. So it's doubled in a week. I mean, go figure. Gladbach have offered me not a great sum of money. I'm going to reject this. We've promised him that we're going to get promoted. I'm hoping at this point we will be getting promoted. And I don't really feel a need to sell him. There's a few players who I might be open to selling, like Flick. But on the flip side, with promotion, our reputation would go up. Players' rep in turn would go up. Probably could get a little bit more money for some players who I'm slightly less keen on because of their attitude this season. Some good news, by the way. We've broken the record for consecutive wins for Borussia Dortmund. 9 games won in a row, and in the league, 12 won in a row. That's cool, I guess. It feels good. I have had a few offers during this transfer window for Assad Kufovic, I've definitely said that name. We'll just call him Assad. He's making me sad because he kind of wants to go. This guy's 16 years old, little bit of potential. Just don't really feel a need to sell him. Annoyingly, I can't set him to reject all offers because he's still on a youth contract because he's 16. Apparently, a quiet transfer deadline day is predicted, and yet on this list of deadline day rumours, there's a few of our players rumoured to be leaving. Okay, one hit of continuing to deadline day. Bid for Florian Flick from Lons. It's £7 million. He's valued at 9 to 11.5 million. I'm going to be cheeky here. I'm going to ask for £9 million. I think if I got that kind of bid, I could probably accept it. 8.5 million. I think I'm going to accept that. He's not been happy at the club in a while. He did start the season on the regular for us, but when we made the signing of Nkili, he's kind of come into the first team. We've not really looked back. This youngster, I think, is going to be our long-term centre defensive mid option. I feel like I can let Flick go. I love the fact I'm getting bids for loads of our youth players. No, they are not available. Leave me alone. If Flick does leave the club, it'll take our squad of 25 down to a squad of 24. But given the fact there's players like Romeo, who can play that defensive midfielder position, and also Sissoko, who can play there, who haven't really been getting minutes, if Flick leaves, I don't really need to sign a replacement. So, yeah, I'm not that fussed about letting him go. I am keeping half an eye open on possible German players to sign. There's some good players here. I feel like the pool of German players that will be available to sign is probably going to be broader once we get promoted. So, whilst I've got all this transfer budget and wage budget that I could spend, in my head it just feels sensible to save it till we're in the Bundesliga. One player I am going to sell is Kamara. He plays with our B team. He's on £12,000 a week. He's just so overpaid. He would be leaving on a free anyway at the end of his contract, so just rather get him off the wages now. Realise I've not really given an Union Berlin update during an episode. This season right now, they're 5th in the Bundesliga, so in my absence, they're doing quite well. They are really battling it out with Frankfurt for 4th. At the top of the table, Bayern Munich are running away with things, and of course now they've got MOUKOKO, so looking forward to that next year. Okay, Florian Flick leaving the building. It's £8.5 million. Not an insignificant sum of money, not the craziest sum of money either, but for a player who's unhappy, happy to let him go, and players are now concerned the squad lacks depth. I don't even know how to respond to this. Like, I'm now highlighting the players who can play defensive midfielder. In fact, let's just check it here. Who can play defensive midfielder? We've got 4 options for one position. I'm not concerned about depth, neither should the players be concerned about it. We need help in defensive midfield, and we need it now. Sounds like a needy schoolchild. The squad is perfectly adequate. I want to give young players a chance to impress. I just don't think we need it. I don't think we need it at all. Okay, well, some players are satisfied, some are whiny. The good news is, the majority are pleased, and some of these players who are whiny, like Tom Rott and also Collins, they're like ultimate backup players anyway. That was productive. Smile. I'm fine. I hate this game sometimes. I've had a bid for Mane. It's an embarrassing offer from Mainz. He's not available. He's our best right back. He's actually been a bit of a surprise package, I feel like, for us. 7.3 rating. Yeah, not selling him on deadline day. I feel like the only player that we're getting bids for is Mane on deadline day, and he's not for sale. I appreciate at this point as I mash continue and pray that no major first team players get bids on them. You might be wondering, Jack, what's coming our way next episode? Mane gets another bid. Leave me alone, Palmer. Next episode will be youth intake, and if you want to have a little preview, B for wingers. B. I'm hoping it'll go up. I feel like these previews here are never actually that accurate. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but sometimes it says you're going to get great players and they're all crap, and then sometimes it says that you're going to get bad players and then there's some good players. So maybe we can be pleasantly surprised next episode. And with a few final clicks of the continue button, we survived January. MOUKOKO leaves for 68 million. Deadline day, top deal. Florian Flick, £8.5 million sold. Most players out. Dortmund, biggest spenders, us. £38 million spent today. Let me know. Good deal? Bad deal? Awful deal? Should I be concerned that he's inconsistent? It does scare me a little bit, but so far, he's not disappointed yet. I mean, he's not wowed either yet, but he's not disappointed, but there's still time. As I mentioned earlier on in today's video, this video has been a little bit of an experiment, a very different format for a video, but I'm open to trying some new stuff. Let me know what you thought of it down below. Like I mentioned, next time we're going to be back with our youth intake preview, and if you've enjoyed the video, leave a like. That is one of the best metrics I can use to decide Do we do stuff like this again in the future? Next time out, we are going to be continuing our pursuit of the unbeaten season in the second Bundesliga. 14 games to go. Can we do it? I'll see you next time to find out. Until then, take things easy, have a lovely Monday, and I'll see you again for more tomorrow.